I'm late. What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Outside the Clutch. Tonight's gonna be probably one of my favorites of the year. I say that every freaking weekend, or close to that every weekend. We're having a really good year. I'm having some amazing guests on. Our guest tonight is very much so like a sister to me, though. She's just a great person altogether. She continues to push me. I like to push her buttons and give her anxiety. It's like a love. It's a sibling rivalry. It's great. So we're going to be talking to Alyssa Leonard from Full Throttle tonight. So I hope you guys are ready for that one. Before we get started with that, I want to take a quick second, start saying hi to everyone. I appreciate you all coming on. It really means a lot. Jacob Ledbetter, Civil Serpents. I hope you all ready. He's coming up soon. Will's hella heat. It's my dude. He's always everywhere. Like I don't know how this guy has time for everything or like all the podcasts that he reaches to, but he's everywhere. Mindy and Tom, Timeless Morphs fam. I love these guys. You guys already know if you've listened to this. They really are my family. I got a big family, okay? Reptile family, regular family. I got a lot of love to give, and it goes to all the family. Temple Exotics. Hey, thanks for coming back to us. I hope you enjoy this one tonight. Adler's great people. I hope y'all checking out the Reptile Wives. Like the stuff that he does with that is freaking priceless. I love it. Does amazing graphic design, editing, all kinds of stuff like that. So make sure you check him out. Give him some love. Christian, that's a local El Paso dude. Love this dude. He was just on a podcast last night. Make sure you give him some love. Check out his stuff. He's got some really nice leopard gecko, like really, really nice leopard geckos and amazing blackhead stuff. That's me because I'm dumb. Kristen from Redstrom. That's New Mexico folk right there. We luckily passed the issues in New Mexico. They are potentially tabling that. So, hey, if you're still in New Mexico, if you keep reptiles in New Mexico and you listen to this, make sure you continue reaching out to your representatives because there is a potential they are going to try to bring that animal program ban back. Arvin, what's good? Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. Jamie, I'm sorry, I almost missed you, Jamie. Jamie's fam, she's 15 minutes, a lame first year fam. So she's very important, near and dear to my heart. And I almost skipped her like a bad friend. Bad friend, what are you doing? So y'all know I'm very much adamant about husbandry. Husbandry is the key to everything you do. Husbandry will either make you or break you in this industry. And you're looking for the products to up your husbandry, to watch your animals, to take care of anything with your animals, there's really only one place to look. Here at Outside the Clutch, we're honored to be sponsored by VivTech. Are you ready for innovation? Tired of the same boring product that's been used for 30 years? Ready to give your reptiles and amphibians the UV they really deserve? Then look no farther than VivTech. Their 3-watt LED bulbs provide the UV rays your animals have been missing. With 3 bulbs to fit your pet's climate needs, plus a dimmable feature, it's the only bulbs we use for UV. And it's the only bulb with a 2-year warranty in the industry. Plus now you can monitor all your pet's husbandry from your phone 24/7 with their sensors and even ship your customers' animals in their custom bags. So what are you waiting for? Go to vivtechproducts.com today, use code FCLUTCH0322 for 15% off, and provide your animals the best care they've ever had. Substrate. There's only one substrate in the game for me. You guys know how I feel about my chip. I love chip. I'm all about that chip life. Are you ready for the best coconut substrate in the game? Then you gotta get ReptiChip. First off, it's America's chip because it's veteran owned. Secondly, why wouldn't you want the best cocoa chip for your animals? Go to reptichip.com, use code FEELYCHIPPIN for 10% off up to 3 breeder blocks or your entire order of Easy Hatch trays or any Redline Science equipment on the site. Limit 1 coupon per customer. Or reach out to me as a representative in the El Paso area, and don't forget to join the Reptilution.
where all profits go to helping those in need within the reptile community.
And I did it again. So here's the deal. I love Show Me Snakes. I love what Mickey's done. All my footage from those shows literally have kids in it. And if you've been any type of a content creator at all, you know that social media does not appreciate you sharing anything with kids in it, even your own sometimes. So I haven't made the commercial for Mickey yet. I will make the commercial for Mickey. I have to get out to another show, which is coming up next month in Odessa, Texas. And we're going to be talking about some other shows this year. But I have to get new footage because I literally cannot use any of the footage that I had. So without prolonging that Band-Aid poll, I'm going to get some footage. We're going to make a great commercial for Mickey. It's coming up soon. Don't hate me for it. She is nervous, and I love it. I love like kind of seeing her squirm in the chair, like, oh God, what's about to happen? Um, I love her. Like I said, she's like a sister to me. I hope you all love her. I hope you all are really ready for what she has to bring tonight because I think it's amazing. I think she's amazing. I think you're going to get a lot of good content tonight. And so, without further ado, let's give some love to Miss Alyssa Leonard from Full Throttle Reptiles. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you. I heard you've been having fun today. We were talking about it.
Yeah, it's been an exhausting day around the world. That's what it feels like. But yeah, did a little bowling. Nothing animal related today, so that's a first in
That's a positive.
a while. Yeah.
Positive. I very much so have had something animal related almost every day since I've been home. So I'm glad it's calm for you. I'm glad it's calm for you. Oh, that. So let's kind of dive into it. We spoke before. I think it's been about what was it like 2 years, almost 2.5, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while.
So before I got to kind of the format that I do now, I was just very much so focused on just, hey, what are you doing at ball pythons? And what do you think about ball pythons? And here, take these balls. And we're not about that. Well, I mean, I'm all about selling balls. But before we get there, let's talk about you. Like, let's talk about Alyssa as a person and like what created the personality and who you are as a person today that everyone gets to see.
Well, a lot of struggle. Being humble, definitely. I've had animals my entire life. I was never allowed to have snakes. So when I was old enough to have snakes, I went a little wild. Um, Hence my name, Full Throttle. If I do anything, I'm the most extreme, and that is anything in life, not just animals. Um, I'm just over the top when it comes to stuff. A little extra. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, a lot of struggle growing up. I didn't have the best, father, but he's the one that kind of got me started into animals, letting me have some here and there, and that just kind of grew into moving into with Craig's parents when we first got together, and her letting me have one little lizard, and then it just kind of exploded. And I really don't think I would be where I'm at today if it wasn't for meeting Tom and, a couple of other friends that have been just more like family. And they treat me better than some of my own personal family. And that's really kind of made me the person I am, is being around people that love me, that support me. A lot of people don't really like the animals. So, it's always nice having someone that's supportive.
You're kind of in an area of the country where snakes very much so are like hugely taboo. So of
Yeah.
all things, what made What made the focus once you decided, hey, I'm gonna go full-fledged animal, but I think it needs to be reptiles. Like, what made the push to that?
You know, Steve Irwin was very like that's what I grew up watching as a kid. Like I was not the kid that was into Barbies. You know, my dad did dirt track race, and that was really like the only thing we would do is dirt track race. So that's where like all my middle school years were spent, most of high school. Like I remember leaving prom early to go to the dirt track. Like, you know, that's what I was all about. Um, you know, I just reptiles are just easier. There was this really cool pet store where a lot of rental property my dad used to maintain. And I just thought that was the coolest place. Like they had the biggest snakes, and you know, just watching Steve Irwin, like that was really what made me so interested in those. And I mean, it's so much less work than a dog. Oh,
Very
so
much
much.
so. Very much so.
Yes,
So
we have a
what
puppy now. She's a year old, and I would never. I'm no. I really
you're
want
you're
to.
done? You're done?
No. So
No, I
reptiles,
love it.
100%.
I love it. I love it. So what you started with the lizard, and obviously the love for reptiles is there. Did you ever picture, like, even 2 years ago when we really started talking about it, like you could see the passion, you could see everything coming out, but you were still like, well, I want to do this. This is my passion, but I'm not sure if I want to do this as a full-time gig yet. Like you were right there. You just weren't sure which way you wanted to go. Did you ever think it was blossom into what you see now with the multitude of species and like the focus on breeding that you have brought to your life?
No, honestly, no. Yeah, I still have fun with it. I don't want to do this full time. You know, I'm very blessed to have a decent paying job, and you know, I'm not gonna lie. I pay somebody to do a lot of work for me on my animals. You know, because I do have two children that require a lot of attention and a demanding job. So no, you know, I just still have fun with it. I do want to downsize some of the ball pythons, but they fund the fun stuff for me. And you know, just getting into other species, it's just a lot of learning and trying to study. Ball pythons are super easy. You know, I'm ready for something a little bit more challenging.
Ooh, there you
So,
go.
but no, I never dreamed like I would sell $5,000 snakes. I never dreamed like it would be that easy. Um, no,
That was
no.
super easy for you a couple months ago. I'm just playing. I was just playing. I had to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's great though. I think that speaks to who you are though, and the way you present yourself, and just the passion that you let everyone see when you're talking about your animals. Like I know when we talked about my full throttle reptiles animal, I was like, that's just the one I want. I want a male, and this is what I want, and just tell me the price. Like I already had my mindset, and then I was like, well, it's my sister. I should pick on her a little. And I was like, I'm not even gonna, just tell me what you want. And then I mean, it is what it is. Like I think your method is very fluid. I love the like this is gonna sound weird. I love watching you and Craig at the show, but like the way you speak to your customers at the table, and you can see the influence that people have had on you in your life, and like the way you've been kind of mentored, and the customer service background that you both have. So I really enjoy what I see out of you. You remember how I said the little ones were gonna break it? It's coming. They're already. Um, but yeah, so let's talk about, because you have a farm out there, like you have a city farm as you put it, but you very much so don't just have reptiles. You have a multitude of animals. So let's kind of talk about a day in the life for Alyssa and Craig and the Munchkins wrecking havoc everywhere they go.
Every single day. Which we've kind of downsized the odd ends, fuzzy things here and there. But I never said I would have animals in the house again now that all the snakes are outside. But we still have 4 cats and or 2 dogs. We just got a puppy a year ago. Worst mistake ever. But we have those in the house, and then Jack has his pet rat Otis. Which Jack was actually just diagnosed with pandas a couple weeks ago, which it's been a 3-year-long battle. That's a whole another story. But Otis is his pet rat. He takes it everywhere, literally everywhere. This is kind of like his security blanket. Otis has a friend named Mousy, and they live in a cage with a guinea pig, his guinea pig. So they all 3 cohab. So they're in the den, and we have micro squirrels that just had some babies.
Goodness.
They're in my bedroom. I've never had animals in my room, but I'm so stinking excited about these squirrels. We have those. We have chickens. Larry, he's a rooster I actually bought from Brittany Gobble a couple of years ago, and he absolutely hates everybody. And so I love him with all of my heart. He's like my spirit animal. The neighbor, she's like, if I hear your dog barking, which is like a 90-pound pit bull, she says, if I hear him barking, I don't think anything of it. But if Larry crows, I get a little concerned because he is our guard dog. We have rats. But other than that, I mean, we've really downsized. I still have a couple of odds and ends reptiles that I shouldn't have, or, no use for. But, but other than that, we've really downsized on the furry stuff.
There you go. Didn't you have like a turkey or something at one point?
Yes, we have 3 turkeys.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they kept getting out of the pen, and like I said, I live in the county, but it's literally 1 mile from the city.
Okay.
And they would get out of the pen and they would fly in the neighbors' backyards, and then I'd have to throw the kids over the fence, and they would chase them with I got like this big old whale looking net. Like you could catch like a beluga whale in this stupid thing. And I would send Jack over the fence to catch the turkey. Yeah, it was. And then I tried breeding rabbits for burn food, and that was no go. I just collected a bunch of rabbits, and then we'd have to catch them all over the place. I do need a farm, but I don't cook, so I can't go too far away from the city.
Give me just a second. Just sorry. They're gonna lose it in a second. Oh. So just as much as I'm sure Jax is possessive of mama and mama time, my youngest is very much possessive of dad and daddy time.
Yep. Jack's my wild child.
Let's kind of jump into the tale of Jax, as we put it. You brought up he was just recently, you said 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's been about it was right before Arlington, so 2 weeks ago.
What?
Yeah.
You said pandas, right?
Pandas, yeah, like a panda bear.
Like a panda? Okay.
Yeah, that was a really long struggle. And that's what kind of took me out of the whole YouTube world for a really long time, is trying to deal with that, because I don't get any kind of quiet time when he's here. He got kicked out of daycare. And
Attaboy.
pre-K, like preschool. I don't even know what you call that. Like it's like preschool. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But so he's home all the time, and when he's here, he's always like attached to me. But it's basically, it's kind of like autism, but it is not autism. It's more behavioral issues. So he's bad. Like he's literally bad. Living with Jack is like a episode of Jackass 24/7. Like I could make so much money off of videos off of him if I just started a TikTok or something, because it's like baby Jackass 24/7. Like he thinks of the ungodliest things to do. He requires supervision 24/7. He stayed with my aunt a couple weeks ago while we did a show in Nashville, and she called my mom. She's like, "You're gonna have to come get him." She's like, "Why?" He climbed out of the window and was on the roof of the house. Like, I can't
No.
make this stuff up. This kid is wild. He is 5 years old. It's tough. Like, if you tell somebody, hey, he has autism, like, it's a little bit easier to explain. But pandas is not something that a lot of people know about. Only 1 in 200 kids have it. And I just stayed on top of the doctor, like, hey, something is wrong, something is going on. And they're like, no, he's a boy, it's whatever. And I'm like, no, like, something is wrong. So that was a very big struggle, is trying to find a doctor to listen. There's only 5 doctors in Tennessee that will treat this, and basically it's like a toddler having bipolar, or being bipolar.
Okay.
So it's been a struggle with him.
How's he? Does it kind of rein him in when you get animals to him? Kind of like
Yeah,
with autism or things like that? Okay.
and that's kind of what Otis does. He's obsessed with cats. That's why we have 4 cats. And
You
they
want another? No, I'm just kidding. My wife would shoot me, but
no,
her her cat's like feral. Once it hits midnight, it's like the feral comes out of this cat and it's just everywhere all night. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's every cat. But Otis does. Like, he takes him everywhere. He's had him. He used to go get one. Like, after it would be like a small rat, he would go trade it in back in Gym Pop and find another one, and he would train them. He's really good. He can train this rat not to run away from him. They sleep with him. Like, it's odd. They'll sit in his cup holder going down the road, in his car seat. Like, it's crazy. But he had this one rat he picked out while we were in Tinley in October. And Otis is a girl now, but he's had the same rat. It was literally the ugliest rat my son could have picked out. It looks like a wild brown sewer rat. And I have such cute rats, like cute rats. I have miniature rats. Like, I have all kinds of cute rats, and he picks out the ugliest one. But that really calms him down. Otis is his little security blanket.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's really good with snakes too. A little rougher than he should be, but he hasn't.
He'll learn. He'll learn.
Yeah, he
Hopefully.
hasn't
Hopefully.
been too bad.
Yeah. So let's kind of dive into your experience into snakes, because I'm sure you work with just a freaking multitude of species. But let's kind of look at some stuff that's built you to be able to do that so far, right? Like, you very much so reached out to some people. You were taken under their wing, and you were mentored. Mentored. You were mentored by some very great people that gave you the ability to really diversify quickly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I actually was looking for a Samboa a couple years ago, and then somebody local had referred me to a breeder in Manchester, which you see me with them at shows. They were my neighbor at Arlington, Charlie Redmond, and his wife Brittany. They had first gotten together when I started talking to Charlie about Samboas, and then turns out he was vending at Tinley the following show with Tom Harbin. And I had read about him. I used to be a veterinarian technician when I was in high school. And I would see these news articles. Like, Tom is very well known. He did surgery on a small dog, knee surgery, and it was in this newspaper article. So I remembered that name. Like, I thought that was so fascinating to be able to basically do a knee replacement on a weenie dog. Like, that was just so cool. But getting into knowing him, and he was just so, like, I broke down and cried. I spent $500 on my very first expensive snake. She was like my 3rd snake I'd had. And he just thought, like, that was just so, like, I was in it for the right reason, I guess. I don't know. But he's put up with me ever since. So I joke around and say I'm the daughter he never wanted. He has 2 sons, but one of them actually lives 5 minutes from me. So I'm trying to get him back down to Tennessee. So we can be neighbors.
There you go.
but having him, and he's a veterinarian, so that's I don't abuse that privilege. Like, the man went to school, he did a lot of work to get where he's at. But it is nice to be like, hey, what do you think about this? And I still learn a lot through that. It's very interesting. He all the time picks at me at shows, hey, when are you going to go back to the veterinarian side of things? And I would love to. I just don't. My heart is too tender after having a child. Like, I cry over every little thing, and there's no way I could watch dogs be euthanized, this and this and that. And speaking of, I hatched a Wookiee this year that has a shark mouth.
Oh no.
She's still kicking, so she can't eat on her own, but I hand feed her and she eats perfect. I'm too soft. I even hate feeding my snakes, to be honest with you, because I hate killing them. I don't know. But having Tom has been a blessing. If you can't tell, I'm ADHD too, and that's where Jack gets a lot of that. I might be guilty.
What would you say is one of the probably like the most standout thing from your time with Tom? Like, whether it was something that really pushed you or helped you, or just like a moment that y'all were able to share in your come up together so far?
It was just when I bought Sally, which is my banana hat clown. I bought that girl. I said, this is what I want to do. At that point, I was done trying to have children. We were doing fertility treatments, and I said, enough of that. I had poured $60,000 in to have Jax at that point in time, and I said, I'm done with it. I'm just going, if I can invest that much money into trying to have a child and basically miscarried 11 times, we can take this money and we could breed snakes. Like, this is fantastic. And so actually the day that I bought Sally, Sydney was born, which we adopted Sydney. I don't know if she's in the house watching this. We haven't told her yet. But we adopted her the day we bought Sally. Or she was born the day we bought Sally. So that little connection right there, like, I had really just wanted to pour everything into snakes at that point in time. I was done trying. And then I told him, I said, one day I want to be able to buy this. And that was when he first had Monarchs, his very first visual Monarchs. I think he had the adults there to show.
Okay.
Because he had his first eggs in the incubator. Because on our way home from Tinley, I actually got to cut open his very first visual Monarch clutch, and there was twins.
That's freaking astounding.
And the reason why I got to do that is because he was in the process of moving, so his eggs were in Brittany and Charlie's incubator, and on our way back home, we stopped by there. So I was able to physically touch his very first visual Monarchs before he did. But I told him, I want to be able to make this one day. Like, I'm going to be able to make this. And 5 years later, I did. Took me 5 years, because after that day, we ended up adopting and having a child. 3 months after that is when I ended up getting pregnant. So that kind of put a little strain on things. But 5 years later, I made that happen. So when I was able to buy that Monarch from him, like, that was like the best feeling in the world. And I just felt like he was proud of me because I stuck to something.
I love it. Yeah. What was it like? Like, what? So you got to experience it not only for him, but also yourself. So, like, what was like kind of the culmination of feelings when you're like, oh, I cut your very first Monarch and I held it and I got to show you, and now, oh, here's my first one ever. Like, and obviously you work very hard on your projects, but like that feeling had to be special. Like, that one moment had to really stick out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, which, the price had dropped on Monarch's time I was able to make my first one. But, just getting that experience with him, and I've been to Daytona with him after Tinley. So that was in March, and then August I've been to Daytona with him. And a lot of people that are making $15,000, $20,000 snakes just won't let anybody random that they've known for 6 months stand behind their table and, you know, treat them with like respect like he did. Like he's just such a good person. He really is. And you know, I literally cried when I bought Sally, and I cried when I bought my first Monarch. But I mean, there's just, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was texting him. I was like, I just hit my first Monarch. And he's like, well, there's going to be a lot more phone calls because I know you have a whole rack full of hets that you've made. So it's just fun working with him on projects.
Okay. Well, let's kind of talk about some other projects that you do, because we're going to come back to ball pythons, but I feel like I'll get lost in Monarch. Like we could talk Monarch for hours and I'll stay in that zone. So I'm going to force myself out of it real quick. And we're going to talk about some of your other species that you work with first. Like, I think my favorite picture with Jax. Let me pull it up real quick. Find it right here.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that's Jax just he goes exactly for what he wants, right?
Yeah, that's Sammy, my olive. Hopefully, you know, we'll be pairing them maybe in another year or two.
Okay.
But I'm excited
Just
about that.
a
I just have
gorgeous
I have a bunch of random pairs of things.
We're gonna get back to those, and then yeah, some stuff right there. We'll probably get back to him later. The bloods. You
Yeah.
jumped into bloods. You're breeding bloods. Like that's you're slowly moving your way up to bigger and bigger snakes.
Yeah, so last year I had my first clutch of berms. I only had one egg that hatched though because it was her first year. Had really bad luck, but big snakes are where my heart's at. Like I like big mean things. But yes, bloods. I actually had the opportunity to take in a collection. Unfortunately, Tony was a really good friend of ours that he would vend with Tom too, and he used to live 5-10 minutes down the road from us. He passed away 2 years. Well, yeah, last year. And so taking over the bloods, that's been a very fun experience. You know, I wish circumstances would have been a little different, but I was able to get a clutch off of that girl actually on his birthday. So
That's pretty special too. Like
yeah,
it's kind of funny how everything kind of ties back into each other.
it does. It does. And I'm excited. Little baby bloods are kind of vicious, so I'm really excited.
It's a little bit just a little bit different than a ball python, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know anything about bloods. I know you have to keep them in water when they first come out because they dehydrate like super easy. But that's about all I know. All I know I've learned from Matt. I'm
They're
not
little
gonna
baby piranhas.
lie.
I have a bunch of random things, but bloods are probably one of my favorites.
And then you have this little terror right here.
Oh, Steve.
Steve's super cool. I love
I can't wait till it gets a little warmer this summer so he can go outside in his little outside cage.
What's something you would tell people? Because like that's an animal you see at a lot of the smaller shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people bring some sort of crocodilian in to draw crowds, and I'll say just like the hots, they really aren't terribly expensive, but I don't think people realize like the maintenance that goes into them and the knowledge that's really needed for them. So what's some of the experiences with Steve that you've had to kind of learn and overcome and kind of adjust the way you do things?
Aquatic life is not for me, first off. it has been horrible trying to maintain a pond for this creature because his poops clog up every filter known to man. But he's not a pet I bought willingly. I'm pretty sure I've told you before. He was a rescue. He was in a bathtub with a tegu. No UVB, no heat. He's actually 4 or 5 years old, and he's still pretty small. He's under 4 foot, I'd say. And he's still very mean. And I've put a lot of time and dedication into making him love me. You know, I've taped his mouth, and I've taken him to church. We do like a festival, and then I bring reptiles, and
Awesome.
just getting people over the fear is, you know, my goal. But everyone loves alligators. So he's went and kind of done a few things like that, but he still hates life. But the pond aspect of it, when that thing leaks, your floors are done. Everything's done. Like, it's not a practical pet, to be honest with you. Like, it's horrible. Craig hates him. Craig will not touch him whatsoever, but I love him. I just wish it was a little easier maintaining what he needs to live in, because you can't just buy something like that.
Right.
Like, something has to be made for him to live in.
Who do you? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Who do you use for UV products? I have to. Sorry.
I usually just get all my supplies from Gecko Junkie because he's kind of local. I know
That's fair.
VivTech
That's fair. I'll give you that.
VivTech has a pretty fancy bulb that I might switch to come Tinley.
We're gonna have to talk after this.
Okay. But, you know, he goes through quite a few bulbs because he splashes and hits his bulbs, and I do change them out about every 3 months just because he's went so long without UVB. I baby him, and he still hates me, but it is what it is.
You just like ornery men. It's okay.
Dang, that's it. I really am. So my Gilas, you know, Gilas don't need UVB. A lot of people say they don't, but I really want to get those bulbs and use on my Gilas. I just want to make like a big. I would get rid of half of my ball pythons if I could just have like a Gila farm in here. And I really want to get like little troughs or whatever and make like a little underground little Gila house.
That'd be super cool.
I need some of those.
Yeah, like get a plexiglass version of a trough, and then you could see it and watch it do everything.
That'd be so cool.
Kind of like an ant farm.
Yeah.
Be super sweet. Is there any? Am I missing any species? We went over bloods, berms.
Do you want to know what all I have? Because I probably have like 15 different species.
Really? You've gone up that much?
Yeah. I have king snakes, hognose, Sanzenia. They're probably my favorite, or one of my favorites. Blood pythons, Woma pythons, the olives. I have hog islands, like pure hog islands. I have boas. I might be getting my first boa litter this year as well. Oh, you didn't. On my TikTok, I post. I have a really mean boa, like the meanest snake I've ever seen in my life. We call her Satan's spaghetti. She's never happy.
You have an indigo too, don't you?
I do. I need a male. Eastern indigo. I have Solomon Island. Okay, what else I have? Well, maybe that's it. I have retic. A retic too.
Super dwarf, mainland.
Super dwarf. Yeah, he's T90. And I have gray bands, so I have those too. Nice. Yeah, I have a lot of random stuff.
Okay. So is there like a want or a need to breed it all, or is it just, oh, I want a little of this, I want a little of this, maybe a splash of that just to see if I can keep it, or do we want to procreate everything?
So I always do it backwards. I say I just want a pet, so I'm going to get a male. And then I'm playing catch up 3 years later and getting a female. So everything has pairs. I just have one pair of mostly all of that. You know, I have 4 boas, and then 6 or so bloods. But mainly everything I have like is a pair. But I really want a male indigo, and that's one species that I want to for sure breed. I think that would be fun.
They eat everything. Indigos is going to be a crazy pairing. But
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you. Like,
Yeah, everything I have pretty much eats each other. Womas, olives, you know, indigo, hognose, king snakes. So, you know, it's I'm gonna cry.
Hoggies eat each other? I didn't know hoggies would eat each other.
Oh yeah. One of my favorite stories to tell is Tom. I think he spent like $10,000 or something crazy on this male, and he opened up the tub, and the female, all you could see was the tail of the male sticking out of her mouth. Like, could you imagine $10,000 just? Yeah.
I would lose it.
We talk about losing, you know, a couple of racks worth of rats, or you know, one or
Right.
two snakes here and there, but to spend $10,000 on something and not even get like any kind of return out of it. Telling you that teaches me patience.
I couldn't imagine breeding stuff like that. Like, I really couldn't. Like, at this point, I don't think they would ever breed because I'd be too nervous. I'd be just
Yeah.
the entire time. I wouldn't give them a break. But that's insane. I applaud you for it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. But what are you most excited for out of all of those? Like, the stuff that you're pairing this year, what are you most excited for?
I cannot wait for my blood eggs to hatch. You know, that was just like a sentimental type pairing for me. But that's probably the most exciting like species I have that's gonna hatch. Unless I get a litter of boas from little Satan Spaghetti, then they're probably just gonna have to grow up with her because she's so mean. I'll never be able to get them out. I'm just kidding. But that'll be fun. And I
Are
think
you ready for that? Are you ready for the goo?
Oh god, it's
Goo
so
everywhere.
there's no way I would breed boas if it wasn't like the pull out, the ARS, the big pull out
okay.
door. Like so they can't like you know.
Just do it in a big enclosure and just have to be like climbing in there and scraping it up.
Yes. Yeah, no way. No way.
Great.
Yeah, that's the only way I'll do it. The drawers come out, you can spray it down with a water hose. Yeah, I'm not. I made that mistake having a berm and like a PVC enclosure, and it wasn't sealed very well, keeping her on paper. And when we go to move her cage, and then we see like stains going down the wall, like, huh, what is this? Yeah, there's no way I would breed boas. Something like,
funny. What's that?
yeah, what is that?
That's a great smell right there.
Yeah.
My lovely retic still gives me that smell every time I pull her out. She's a big old puppy dog once she gets out, but getting her out, she's gonna claim her territory of you before you get to hold her. She's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to that. Indigo poop's pretty nasty.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine.
And she eats very, very frequently, so she goes to the bathroom just as much.
Colubrid poops just. So I have MBKs, but oh my god, like they make the smallest little poops, but literally they poop and I could smell it in the entire room. Like, I would rather have a whole rack of ball python poop than
yeah.
it's bad. And I have my head set to breed them next year, but I don't know if I'm ready for little worms everywhere. Just I gotta go get a special rack now, because they're gonna escape out of what I have. They're gonna find a way.
You need a little pencil rack.
Yeah, that's cool. Like that's a lot of different species. How do you kind of find time to, because I mean, there's similar care in a lot of them just because they're North American species, but like it's all confined into your one rat or your snake facility, right? Your
Mhm.
giant shed in the backyard that you have made. I remember the bring up on YouTube when you built that entire thing, and it was just like, and you see the walls go up, and then you see the purple start getting laid out everywhere. It was
Listen,
great, but
there's more purple coming, I promise you.
heck yeah.
There's more purple coming. I'm going to my goal, because I have nothing, better to do, is once I want to move some of my female breeders that I do not need. A lot of stuff that I used to have animals just to have animals to sell at shows to buy what I want. I want to kind of redirect that focus to keep just projects I want to work on, mainly because I could fill up a whole 1065 ARS rack full of Monarch stuff. And I've held so much Monarch stuff back. I really need to focus on what I enjoy versus just having something at a show. So once I move some of those, I'm going to tear down my racks, and they're going to be powder coated purple glitter.
There you go.
I have a healer rack. It's a Freedom Breeder. I don't know, the big tubs. I don't know what that's called, but we call that the Gila Hotel. So I'm going to move them out, and they're going to be the test ground. Purple glitter.
Okay.
So much more purple.
And you have all of that just in the one facility, right?
Yeah, I can't let the temperature get above 84 in here because of the indigo. But I mean, everything's on heat. But I mean, it stays 80 to 82 in here. Humidity, we can kind of play around with, but for the most part, it stays about 75%. And everything does okay on it. The cooler species, like the king snakes and stuff, have to stay in the front of the room, lower to the floor. You just kind of got to learn how to play with everything to get it all to work. But I'm weird. I like everything that's one species in a certain rack, so I don't really like mix anything. My king snake or my gray bands are in my ball python male rack right now, and it bugs me.
It's
Like,
driving you nuts.
bugs me, but that's where they're living right now.
No, I feel that. That's that OCD kicking in.
Yeah.
Or the ADHD for you. It's like,
Yes.
no, I feel that. I have a designated for the king snakes, and then the ball wall, and then this big one behind me is the retic, and then this one, whatever it is, the one on top of it, is about to become the white lip. So hopefully, this is going to be my first attempt to change it into something outside of just, hey, paper down on the bottom, a humid hide, a dry hide, and a water dish. And I've talked to a lot of people, and they're like, don't do it. You're not going to like it. You're going to run into problems, because they're kind of the same way, right? Like when you have them in a tub, you don't want it to get over 84. 84, 85 is kind of like the sweet spot. Anything above that, they start getting way too hot. They dehydrate super quick. They have a lovely attitude that it's just easier to have a snake hook ready and only one area for them to get out of. And I'm completely exposing my face and everything else every time I have to open the door now. But I like a good challenge. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited to see the way that entire thing goes. Like I want to give them branches, and I want to like play around and actually create kind of like a vivarium for them. So we'll see what happens.
It's fun being fancy cages.
Which animal do you think presents kind of the most need daily for you out of all the different species that you're working with now?
The indigo.
Yeah.
I feed her a lot more often than all the other ones. Like, her metabolism is so much faster. You know, she gets fed about every 3 to 5 days, consistently. Like, she's one of the ones that, you know, ball python, they can go 2 weeks and they're fine, but her, no, like, she would be breaking out, like. So I mean, she poops in her water almost every other day. So
Poop
that's,
soup. Yes.
yes. Which, I mean, it's easier to clean if it's in the bowl,
Yeah.
whatever. But I always constantly worry about her drinking that. So yeah, she's probably
Yeah.
the hardest
Well,
one to maintain. And the
but it's
Gila,
worth it, and that's the important part.
yeah. I finally ultrasounded my Gilas, and I definitely have one pair. I've bought like 10 of them in hopes I would have one pair, and the very first 2 I bought are a pair. So
Goodness.
yeah,
You went heavy into it.
I love them. Anytime I have a chance to buy one, I absolutely will buy it. They're absolutely my favorite thing ever.
What draws you to the Gilas?
I'm more of a lizard person than a snake person, to be real with you. They're less work than my dream lizard is a crop monitor. Will I ever have one? No. You know, that's just a lot of lizard. But they're less work. Gilas are, and they're just really fascinating to watch. Like, they're very smart.
Heck yeah. So let's jump into your projects. I know everyone's here and they're like, Monarch. They're gonna get sick of me talking about Monarch this year. It's gonna come, and it's fine. I don't care, but I love Monarch, and I like to bring people on that love Monarch. So you get what you get. Okay. Outside of Monarch, we'll lead into it, but outside of Monarch, what are some of the projects that you really have focused in on and are enjoying?
I like lace. I would say is probably one of my um second favorite things to do. I don't really have, I mean, it sounds silly, but everything I have is how many recessives can I stack into a Monarch? That's what it's kind of been, to be real with you. But I do like lace stuff. Anything recessive, you know, it's going to have Monarch in it. So I'm not even doing anything like DG by itself, um, or anything like that. But I
I think
would say,
that's smart.
yeah, I would
That's super
say
smart.
recessive stuff, there's nothing else I'm working with other than Monarch. At this point, you know, of course I have a bunch of other stuff. I have 300 and something snakes, and of course I'm still pairing everything, but there's nothing specific on that side unless it has Monarch in it. But non-recessive is probably lace.
Okay, very nice. I love lace. I finally brought it in this year.
Yeah.
Way too late, but it's okay. It's okay. Um, I got plenty of time to play with it and figure it out. I I remember when we first started talking, and the Monarch was just like we hadn't even really been talking about. Did you hear that? Did you get it?
Yeah.
You got it. Nice. That's an angry boy because he doesn't have his dad. We're we weren't even really looking at doubles at that time. Like, this is right when you started picking up, and I was just getting the itch to start breeding. Like, I had been keeping reptiles off and on for an ungodly amount of time of my life. We're at 20 years this year.
Wow.
Insane. I've been around reptiles for 20 years now, off and on. But yeah, so we were jumping into it, and there's just something that stuck out about Monarch. And I looked at Tom's table, and we talked about it. And I'm pretty sure that's kind of what our entire first video was focused on. It was just like, oh, I want to know more about Monarch and feed me all the Monarch. And That sounded wrong. Feed me all the, you know what I meant. Feed me the information on Monarch. But what really made that Monarch, like that initial Monarch, stand out to you? Like what piqued your attention into that animal?
You know, again, when I do something, I want to stand out, and I want to go do the most. And at the time, what really drew me into it, to be honest with you, is not a lot of people had it. So I wanted to be different in a sense. Like I wanted to do something that no one else really had. I mean, there was only like a handful of people that had it. So, you know, that was what really like got me focused on it. But then just looking at it, the dark like brown, I guess you could say, like the caramel color that it keeps, you know, what would that do? I think that could really make a purple snake if you breed it to the right things. So that's kind of immediately where my head went, is that tone, you could turn that into purple. I know that sounds silly, but
Well, I mean, that's kind of the way it starts. No, when you look at it as, when you look at them as hatchlings, it's very much so the
yeah,
purple pigment. So
yeah.
I think you're along the right lines.
Some other things mixed in with it could make like a purple tinnish looking snake, I guess. But I don't know. For me, it was just the fact that hardly no one had it. So I'm just weird like that. I want to do
And
something.
now all these people are getting, no, I'm just kidding.
I know they are.
They are. Yeah. It's blown up. I was all excited. I was like, you know, when I first got into it, I mean, I'm still excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm very much excited for this project. But I think when I initially got into it, I got into it the wrong way to get into a recessive. But it's okay. I bought a hatchling female, and I had to wait the 2.5 years for it and all that good stuff. And I just watched other people pick up male and pick up another male. And I was like, why are they? And then I talked to my mentor, and I was like, yeah, I'm an idiot. I could have had all kinds of monarchs by now. But it's okay. The satisfaction is going to come. And that's the important part. But yeah, I was just, I think there was like maybe 15, 18 people, maybe a little more, but they weren't very vocal about it.
Yeah.
When I first jumped into it, and now it's just like, oh, you have Monarch, oh, you have and it's not saying that it's a bad thing. It's just saying that you see the popularity coming, and you're like, well, that it's not pressure. It's not pressure, because you have to work your projects at your own pace. But there's a little bit of like, okay, I want to say what I'm doing, but I don't want to tell everybody what I'm doing.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. And another thing that like drew me to it is seeing Tom so passionate about it. Like just doing something that he's done so much for me. I just want to make something that he would want to buy for me. Like that was my goal in the beginning. I know that sounds like super cheesy, but I wanted to give back to him in some way. But you know, that was just seeing him so passionate about a project like that. Just, it's got to mean something. It's got to be worth it. It's, the investment was there if he's so passionate about it.
Right.
So making that little bit of a plunge to spend that. We first agreed on just getting a male. And he's like, you know, males are still a little pricey. This was about 5 years ago. And I was like, I know. And then when I go to pick up my male, and I was like, actually, I want a female too. And he's like, what? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. So, you know, it was a lot easier making that investment if I seen someone like him so invested himself into the project.
I feel that. Have you attained that goal yet? Have you produced something where he was like, you have? What'd he pick up from you?
Same thing you picked up from me. And you two are going to beat me at my own project.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I'll beat you. I don't.
Yeah, well, you will beat me. You may not beat him, but you'll beat me. You know,
I might beat you to a visual of a single gene representation, but I got a long way to go to catch up on the double, possible triple. So.
Well, I'm excited for this genetic testing stuff. Like
Really
I have 2 babies. It's het monarch, het clown, het monarch, het G-strap, possible het clown. So, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna grow these 2 up and just wait and see what happens. But now I'm like, all right, come on, y'all can shed now. I need to know now.
That's what I'm doing. I'm like, I'm throwing these rats, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just divvy out the money per each test, and let's just verify real quick.
Yeah. I'm actually waiting for my Wookiee dad to shed, which he was one of the first Wookiees that Justin produced. And the sibling to that is definitely Het Clown, the sibling to mine. So, and I've waited and waited and waited, and I've made all kinds of babies, like all kinds of babies with this male. And never once have I thought about, oh, maybe he's Het Clown too. So I'm going to send his shed off.
That's one of those things, though. Like when you pick up a snake from like a Justin or an Aussie or whoever that's been at the top for a while now, you might as well just throw them to like one of every recessive just to see what pops out, because you never know.
You never know. So we'll see.
Okay. And there's been some really cool stuff developing in the Monarch project. Did you think when you jumped into it, because you already saw the ability for the darks and your focus has been that purple, what's been kind of your philosophy with dark versus light with Monarch?
I think it needs to kind of go to the darker route. There's been a lot of light stuff. Like people has made an inchy and a calico. Those look great and all, but I think it could be so much better. And even like a pattern changer, not necessarily anything to affect the color. Like let's change the pattern. Nothing really has changed the Monarch pattern yet. I don't know. The Monarch clown is really nice. Really, really nice. I think one sold in Europe for 35,000.
That's insane.
I think it was 35,000. I think Sebastian, the guy that's with Justin, he bought it.
Okay.
And it just blows my mind. Like I could make this year. Would I ever sell them? Absolutely not. But it'd be kind of fun.
Someone could try.
Yeah.
I mean, it did take a little coercion when I got my baby from you, because you're like, well, I don't know if I really want to let it go now. I was just putting it on the table at Arlington to see if anyone would buy. You got your nibble, lady.
I know. You know what? The other 2 never went back to a show because I'm like, forget it. Yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
But I very much agree. I love the darkness coming into it. I'm really trying to think of how to pull a contrast out of there and get a good mixture of both light and dark. And that's my goal in everything, right? Like find a way to contrast each aspect. So I've been diving deep into the way stuff that really mixes dark and light and kind of the trends that have been happening. And as weird as it sounds, I'm actually trying to go like complete different ways from that, because I want to break away from the norm that we're continuing to see. And I love clowns. I have a lot of clown stuff in my collection, but I also feel like there's so much clown stuff now, and it's not a bad thing. Like everyone follow their own thing, do what they want to do. You have to kind of follow the trend sometimes too, but put your own spin on it. I think the Monarch clown's going to do great for a long time. I very much so am gonna work that into it. I think you have to, but there's other tweaks that I want to put into it, obviously. If you had to move to a different recessive, if we said, Alyssa, there is no more Monarch for you, where does your heart fall?
Oddly enough, I don't have any of this just yet.
I like how you added that in.
Well, I say that, but I don't have a. Well, no, hang on. Let me think about this again. What would I pick? Man, I really like Monsoon.
Monsoon.
I don't have any, but I really like the pixelation stuff. But stuff I do have would be paint. I would like the paint stuff.
I really like the paint stuff. Limey has ruined me. I stare at that page entirely too much.
Yeah.
Entirely too much.
Yeah. I have a couple of heads. Nothing like I don't have visual paint, so obviously it'll be a really long ways away. But I originally bought paint stuff a couple of years ago just to put it into Monarch, just because I just like the pixelation type looks, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So, with you trying to downsize your balls, what are you aiming at this year? Like, what's the overall goal for number of clutches or idea of where your happy point is going to be for babies this year?
Oh, well, I think we all know the market's been a little slower than normal. Which I have an ultrasound machine. So if I go to sell them, I can be upfront and honest with everybody about what's been paired and what's not. But as of now, everything's been paired. So we may have 10 clutches. We might have 120. So we'll see.
Okay.
I'm still going to go all out no matter what. But
I was gonna say that. Yeah, that's where I was going with it. I was like, I've never known you to back down regardless, and that's one of the things I've drawn from your attitude. Is I looked at it this year and I was like, well, a lot of people are backing down, and hey, whatever they choose to do. But I very much feel like I'm in a situation where if I say, well, I'm only going to pair this much and I'm not going to try to expand, I'm just putting myself further behind.
Yeah.
And I luckily have a position where I breed enough rodents that even if I kept everything, I'm going to be okay. So why not go for it? Which, I mean, going for it my way versus your way is two completely different ended things. Like, if I hit everything, I'm hitting like 20 clutches. If you hit everything, you're hitting like 100 clutches. So that's,
yeah.
I love you for your insanity, but you're insane.
It's a little much. Last year I didn't pair a lot. Jack's whole ordeal and issues was just a little much, and then I moved to a different store last year for work. So last year was a little much, but I have a full-time helper, and he looks at my list and be like, okay, we're pairing today. So sometimes I don't have a say so and all that stuff, which is good because I don't want to second guess myself or anything like that. But it's nice just having someone to like, okay, we're doing this. So
how was it like to bring somebody in? Because that's kind of I think that's the first major hurdle when, whether you say this is full-time or not, like you've effectively brought a salary to someone by what you're doing. So what's it like to release some of the control and have that trust in someone? Because that's like the biggest hurdle for a lot of people when they start out.
Which,
Besides, like, hey, scrape this poop real quick. But hey, you're not scraping that poop right. Like, you need to do it like this.
you know, and I've had several people help me out here and there and everywhere, and I have several that's my helper right there, CJ. I've had several volunteers because we have a school here. It's kind of like a elective type school. They do volunteer hours, and since I am a licensed business, I've had several students come in, and even if it's washing tubs, and that's usually what I make them start out doing. Like, I want you to clean these extra tubs, these deli cups, and then let's see how clean they got. That's kind of like how I set that standard. Or dirty rat tubs. Like, let me see how clean you get these, and let's see what you can do next. If they can hang in a couple of times doing that, then they're okay. But I mean, CJ knows I'm super picky, and a lot of times I work with him. And then there's some days where, like, I don't even want to go out there and look. I don't even want to look in my backyard. I don't even want to know I have snakes today. You got this. And he's like a bull in a china shop when it comes to my rat room. There's like shavings everywhere, and he'll just tell me, don't look on the camera, and his wife will come and clean up his mess. So they work great together as a team. But he's got the kind of the gist of how everything works out. They have snakes themselves. But he's good to me. So yes, all out is an understatement.
It's funny you said that.
Yeah, I go in there like I'm the neat freak. Like right now, my room is a disaster from Arlington. But I'm like the neat freak. Like I want my racks dusted. The waters have to be filled to the brim. The floor has to be clean. And I like my house to be like that too. But again, with Jax's issues, I've kind of slacked on everything, and some days I'm like, I don't even want to look.
It's okay, Mama. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
As long as everything has clean water, I don't care. I'm not going out there today. And he's like, okay, gotcha. And then his wife will come clean up his messes. So they work great together. But he's my bad influencer too. Like if I say, hey, this is a great idea if we get like 3 elephants for the backyard, he goes, you want me to take down the fence so they can get in? Like he's so actually my animals used to be in the den, our downstairs area. And so when we moved them all out, I said, I don't want animals down here anymore. And it's to the point where we're pretty full out here. So we're going to have to start overflowing back into the den.
Oh,
and I can't do it. So I bought a whole gym workout set to put downstairs. No more animals in the house. So he was the bad influence on that too.
I laugh about it because my partner, he's a whirlwind. Like he's a whirlwind, and then the guy I'm mentoring here locally, he's a whirlwind, and we've effectively ran and almost quadrupled our rat production from when he came in. Just expanding in racks and trying to create something here to not only help out locally, but look at branching out beyond that one day. But they both, like I said, they're whirlwinds, and I'm just like, quit getting flake on the floor, quit getting flake on the floor, quit. And like, so they go, and the way we have the garage set up, there's 3 aisles now, and like I take my aisle and I work my aisle, and they just leave me alone, and they're over on the other side talking shit and doing their thing, and I just see shavings going, and then they look at me because they realize that I saw it, and they're like, and just keep going. And then like once I get done with all my stuff and we're running through and we're talking about what we want to do next and stuff like that, I sit there and my OCD kicks in, and I'm starting to sweep through everything, and it takes me like 2 minutes to get my side. Like I'm not gonna lie, I drop a little bit. But then I'll go over there. I'm like getting under the racks and like,
yeah.
But then, so this is going to sound bad. I talked to my therapist about this, and she's like, think about this and think about, okay, well, does it make your life simpler? Like, think about the time that it would take if you did all of these rats by yourself. Does it make your life simpler? I was like, well, yes, it does, but I want it done a certain way and I want it to stay clean. She's like, but does it make you like, okay, you're right. So
Yep.
I'm learning to give in, but it's still to this day very much hard for me to watch it. And like when we were at Arlington, I was just like, oh my God, I don't even want to know what it's going to look like when I come home. And I was like dreading it the whole time. And I came back and I saw the room and I was just like, you guys are awesome. Like, I give you a hard time, but you guys really are awesome. Like, there wasn't much that needed to happen when I got home, at least to like maintain my level of neat freak when I'm doing everything. But
I feel that. I work with a bunch of boys on the day to day, so you know, I kind of expect like it's not going to be 100% like how I would want it in the first place. But man, he's awesome. Like I said, there's some days I don't even have to go out there. I absolutely hate going to the rat room. I don't want to feed them because I love my rats. They're so cute.
so for those that have really just begun their process, right? You've seen the ups, you've seen a little bit of a downslope in your time, just because of what's going on right now. What's some of the things that you would tell people that are just getting their feet wet or just getting the itch to breed now?
You know, a lot of people started during COVID when COVID was the peak of things and money was getting handed out. And, you know, you see a lot of those breeders dropping off now. Um, you know, you got to realize, like, you know, my parents don't really care for the snakes. And how I break that down to them is when you build a Walmart, how do you stock a Walmart without spending a bunch of money first? Like, you, and they're like, oh, okay. And then, you know, that's kind of the same concept. Like, you're going to have to spend quite a bit of money. Don't be cheap about what you put your animals in, what you put your animals on, what kind of products you use to heat your animals. Moral of the story is you cannot be cheap. And that's, you waste so much time. And I mean, it affects your animals. Yeah, I'm not saying you have to buy an ARS rack from the get-go, but
Be smart about it.
you know, getting some melamine stuff from the Home Depot and trying to build your own, you know, after you put $300 into that and then you can't even like fit it in your doorway because it's so dang big and heavy, you could have bought like a sea serpent's rack, you know, which is great PVC. Just can't be cheap about it. I've mentored a couple of people and, you know, I'm nice and I'm kind-hearted and you know, I try to say things in a nicer way, like, you know, that was stupid, but, you know, Craig and CJ both make fun of my face because they say I have the RTB face all the time. And I'm like, you know, I just can't deal with some people. But no, I try to be nice about it, but you just can't be cheap when it comes to your animals. Or if you want to do this as a business, you just cannot be cheap.
What's kind of like something, because you said you've mentored a couple of people now. What's something that you see regularly? Because we all have that one thing that like it, whether it's your location or just the industry in general, you see the same thing kind of pop up in all the newbies. What's that one thing that got you when you started helping people?
Um,
Uh-oh, here it comes.
you know Matt O'Malley's morphs.
Yeah.
Matt.
Yeah, I love Matt.
I use this example all the time because it's quite funny. Like when you buy a new snake and you bring it home and it doesn't eat the first day, that's really the big thing. I can recall a time where he bought a snake and he got the paperwork in the mail. He doesn't breed mice. He only breeds rats. He got the paperwork in the mail and it said it was eating mouse hoppers. Like he called me instantly, like all tore up, like anxiety through the roof. How am I going to feed this snake? I just bought a $2,000 snake that's going to die because I don't have mice. And I'm like, hold up. I was like, have you even tried feeding it a rat? No. I said, don't call me back until you try feeding it a rat. So that's been kind of like the biggest thing is as soon as you bring a snake home, like they're expecting it to eat right away, or, that's, I mean, honestly, that's been kind of the biggest thing. So their female or the male's not eating. Like it hasn't eaten in 2 months. Like the whole feeding issue just gets everyone stressed out. I don't know. That's just been my experience of it.
It's funny you said that.
Yeah, like he was so tore up, and I had to call someone else local and be like, "You're not gonna believe this," and we were like cracking up. I said, "Matt," I said, "I know you just got it out of the box." I said, "Go put it in a tub, go give it a rat pup," and I was like, "And call me back." He's like, "Fine," and he did, and I was like, "Well, did it eat?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Matt, it ate instantly, straight out of a box, a rat." I said, "Why are you tripping? A lot of snakes don't even eat their first week that they're at a new location." So that's always funny. I love Matt, but
Matt's over the top too. Like he's
he
he's
is.
very passionate about what he does, and he stresses about it. It's one of the things I love about him. That's why I'll always support the dude. Like if I don't know, like the people I like to keep around, they have to have that passion, and you see it in yourself. You see it in Matt. See it in Tom. Um, you see it in Earl. Like I love Earl as a mentor because of the passion. Like you might not see it in his voice, but once you really get him like working with his animals, you see the little kid glimmer in his eye, which I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying that. But
You should
I love
next
it.
time
That's
you
my
talk to
favorite part.
next time you talk to him, just tell him that I invited you down to Tennessee and I was gonna cook dinner for you, and just let me know what he says. He gives me
Okay.
such a hard time about my dinner skills.
Am I gonna be warned to bring fast food or?
Yeah, he calls me all the time. When he used to work like third shift, I'd be awake 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, still out here and doing chores, and we would talk all the time. And he would call me maybe like 1 or 2 in the morning. He'd be like, "What are you doing now?" That's his thing. As soon as you answer the phone, "What are you doing now?" And I always tell him, "I'm getting my food out of the oven." And then you'll hear the speaker, "Your total is da 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 da." He goes, "Oh yeah, that's the oven." So, I always tell him I'm getting the food out of the oven because it never fails. He calls when I'm in the fast food line. But I love Earl.
When we first started, he used to call me. So he's an hour ahead, but he used to call me, and it'd be like right when I was laying down. So like the phone would blow up on the nightstand. My wife would be looking at me like, "Who the is calling you this late at night?" And I look at him, "Oh, it's Earl. I gotta go." And I'd walk into my snake room.
And it's not a 10-minute conversation either. It's always like an hour,
Never.
an hour, an
I
hour.
love it. I love it. That's my favorite part. They're a little bit more spaced out now, but that's my favorite part. It's always good to catch up.
He actually came
Um,
down. Is it maybe like a year and a half ago, I guess. I got him down here. And Steve bit him. Steve's bit everybody, but that's besides the point.
I can't wait. Like, you guys have what, 1 or 2 a year down in Chattanooga, and then like 2 in Knoxville area too, don't you?
Yeah, we have 2 in Chattanooga, which they're super small. And then we have 2 in Knoxville, and then we have 2 in Nashville,
Okay.
which in Chattanooga, I'm 2 hours from Atlanta, Knoxville, and Nashville. So I'm in the dead center. Um,
Yeah,
you
you're
think,
where I grew up.
oh, yeah, that's right. I keep
Same
forgetting.
town. Yeah.
Man. But yeah, the ones in Knoxville are pretty decent. Nashville is much better, though.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to talk that out. I've been on or asked for 2 years to make it out to the gobbles. I still haven't done that. That invitation is probably going to get rescinded soon if I don't catch it in. I gotta
She's
make
about
it out to y'all. So last time I went and I saw my dad, because I drove through Tennessee to go up to New England. I was supposed to stop with Matt. Like so when we originally had it planned, I was going to stop in. I was going to hang out with him. I was going to get a quick tattoo, like just a little $20-$30 tattoo from him, just to say I got tattooed by him, and then drive on. And we tried to do it on the way in. And he was like, dude, I'm totally booked. Like, I'm overbooked today. And then when I came back through on the way out, he was booked too. So, I mean, it was just poor planning on my part. But next time, I'm going to roll through. I need to spend some time with Matt, some time with y'all, the Gobbles. I got to go see Shane. Shane's made it out there. And I've known Shane for almost as long as I've known you. And I still haven't seen him in person yet. We've been
Oh,
talking about it a lot, but we've never been in person. So I got to get out and like get some face-to-face time with all my friends in Tennessee. So.
he's hard to get at shows. I always give him a hard time, like the Knoxville shows. I'm like, this is your hometown now, and you're not doing shows. Like, what's the deal? And he finally did the Nashville show, I think a couple times ago. He's asking me like, what all do I need to buy? Is this okay? Like, I'm new at shows. He shows up with like a $600 rug. And I'm like, what are you doing? This was not on the list I gave you, but now I got to have one of these. Thanks.
Up in the game. He always goes over and beyond.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'm like, I didn't even know these things existed. He goes, yeah, it's $600. I was like, oh, for people to step on. Okay, I can do that. Yeah.
What's your favorite show so far? Like you've been across a vast majority of shows. You've seen a lot of stuff. What's your favorite show so far?
An October Tinley is probably my favorite if I'm buying animals. But the funnest show I would say is Daytona. It's a beach show. It's just a whole different atmosphere. Like Arlingtons are usually cold and Tinleys are always snowing and cold. Like it's just a whole new atmosphere. Like I don't know. It's just so much fun. I want to go to Pomona though. I want to go some shows out there.
Pomona's amazing. So I think that's the only. Well, I might one day go to the Sacramento show, but I want to get back to Pomona next year. I was gonna try this year, and things just didn't pan out right. But that was actually the second show that I ever went to when I came back into like all the reptile scene with my wife. So I was in the Army and I had like a month of leave built up right after a deployment, and like, well, there's a reptile show all the way in California, and at this time, like, we were thinking about heading that way at one point, which now I don't think we'll ever leave Texas, but we were looking at moving that way. So I was like, well, I'm going to show you guys where I spent a year when I was growing up, because I spent some time out in Ontario and lived there, which is like literally right by Pomona. So we went to the San Diego Super Show when they still had it in San Diego. And then the following month, right before my leave ended, was the Pomona Super Show. And I was like, well, I love this. And then I was like, I get really bad anxiety because there's way too many people here, but it's amazing. But so like, if you saw me the first 2 years, I'd be like hiding behind people's booths that I knew. Be like, I just need a second away from the crowd. Or like you'd see me in the corner against the wall so I could be like just pressed away from the crowd and just watch people. And like I'd have to change my shirt like 2 or 3 times, and it was really bad. But I love that show. Like I've never been to Tinley, so I can't speak on that yet. Hopefully this October I'll hit that. But
It's so overwhelming. Like
yeah.
it's probably 3 times the size of Arlington.
Okay.
Like it's just crazy. Like it literally takes you a full 2 days to get through everything. It was just so much my first time. There's no way I could vend it before ever going. Like there's just so much. It's really
That's
cool.
the way you're gonna feel with Pomona too.
Yeah.
So Pomona's like 4 football fields long.
That's crazy. Slidell is the Slidell show, the Herp show. That one was really fun too because it's a hot show. Like I I'm fascinated with stuff like that. Would I ever have it? No, because I almost die on the daily with Satan's spaghetti over here. But I just think it's fascinating. I don't know.
And if there's, oh, I already said that. You said Pomona. So I asked you what your favorite, and you kind of rolled into my next. So you want to hit Pomona. When do you think you're gonna try to make that appearance?
Well, that just really depends on Jack, essentially. But we do 2 Arlingtons, a Daytona, and 2 Tinleys. And then there's usually a Chattanooga show in the mix somewhere in there, and a Knoxville and a Nashville. So I try to do a show each month, and just being able to fit that in my schedule
Regularly
to fly
programmed
there.
schedule.
Yeah. So I might have to take a break on something, which, I mean, I get 6 weeks of vacation for work. So that's not, a huge deal. But it's hard to go that far away. And that's not, if I'm going to California, I'm not just spending a weekend there. The San Francisco Zoo is my dream zoo to go to. So I want to go to that zoo. If I'm going all the way out there, we're just knocking all that out. I don't know, maybe in a couple years or so, if I can get Jack kind of calmed down, hopefully we can get him on, pandas can be treated with antibiotics. So hopefully he's on antibiotics now. So hopefully this is what he needs to get back on track. But hopefully in a year or two.
I like it. And so, if you had to focus on just one show, whether it be the Tinley, it be the Arlingtons, whatever it is, what show would you choose and why?
Probably Tinley. For me, I make more money at Daytona most of the time. I've had fairly decent Tinleys, but I was given a chance of a lifetime to get the spot I have in Tinley, so I'm never giving that up. There's people on a waiting list for days.
3 years.
It up.
I think it's that like 3 or 5 years, something crazy. I can't even fathom that. I'm gonna go and visit, but I think, I don't know. I can't say that. I can't say never, but I think I'd do a Pomona or an Anaheim before I did a Tinley.
Yeah.
Which probably isn't any better because they're both ball python shows. And let's face it, I don't produce enough to stand out at either one of those shows yet. But I'm here.
You'd be surprised. Like, I thought the same thing my first Arlington. Like, I wanted to go with Tom because I didn't like him traveling by himself. And, I still had super, super low end stuff. My very first Arlington. And that was probably the most money I've ever made at Arlington, was that show. And I was like, okay, sure, if I can be the breeder for pets here, that's cool. But you think that, but it's Mike Breezy, Mike and Emily Breezy. They bought a snake from me, and like I was like fangirling because I was like, Mike Breezy's kind of a big deal. Like, he bought a snake for me, so they give me crap about that because I made such a big deal about that because I was just like, oh.
So who's the next snake celebrity that you need to put on your list to have them purchase a snake from you?
I don't know. I can't give that out. Paco.
Because then we could start talking in their ear and be like, hey, you go get a snake from Alyssa. Speaking of getting a snake from Alyssa, everyone should want to get a snake from Alyssa because
that's right.
She has pretty awesome snakes.
That's right.
And she's working some pretty awesome projects. And I'm just saying there's a, let's see, there's 35 listings on her morph market. So
There should be a lot more. I have quite a long list of breeder females that shouldn't be breeding this year.
Okay, you guys need to go check this out. I need to not look at this page because I'm gonna get yelled at by my wife.
Fun project this year too.
Yeah. Everything looks amazing on purple. And y'all make sure you check out her MORPHMARKET. Oh man. Alyssa, for those that want to understand the Monarch project deeper than what we did tonight, those that want to catch you at a show or just get the opportunity to talk a little bit more, those that want to find out, I guess, who you are or what you're willing to divulge to them, how do they get a hold of you?
So I have my MORPHMARKET, I have Instagram, Facebook, my phone number is on all of that. I have TikTok. I have every bit of social media you can ever think of. And I never sleep, so always feel free to reach out. Never sleep.
There you go. There you go. Oh man. And you have Jax to keep you company. So.
That's right. Which I get a little peace and quiet. I go to the gym at night, and he usually sleeps through that. But the minute he finds out I'm not there, he's poof. But yeah, he doesn't sleep either.
I think that's how you should let people get on the phone. Be like, give them 30 seconds with Jax, and if they can last through that, then you can talk to them about snakes.
Yeah, he knows where the end button is real quick. He's everybody.
All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed our time with Alyssa tonight. There's obviously a never-ending conversation that we could always do. I really appreciate you for taking an hour and a half out of your night with us. I know it's not always the easiest thing to do, and for giving us some stories and some of your passion. And hopefully, we convince people to go get some damn Monarch. Get it now.
It always kills me when someone walks up to me. I had 2 people walk up to my table at Arlington and was like, "Do you have any ultra metal?" And I was like, "No, but I have something better." Don't say that word over here, okay? I have something better.
Oh man. All right.
Yeah.
As it should be. As it should be. Y'all, go give Alyssa some love. Go give the family of Full Throttle Reptiles some love. And thank you all so much for watching this weekend. We'll see you on the next one, Outside the Clutch.
Thank you.